The Indigo Disk is officially out, and it's been out for a little bit at the time of making this video, and as such, I've gotten some time to not only play it and have been enjoying it a lot, but I've also had time to scour it for cool secrets, facts, and just fun things that I thought were cool, but that you also may have possibly missed amongst all the mayhem of the DLC's release. So, here are 20 Indigo Disk secrets that you may not know about. Alright, so we've got a lot of secrets to cover in this video, but one thing that's not a secret is the lovely sponsor of today's video, Dave. Dave's support helps to keep the channel going, and they can also support you when you need a little more moolah in your life. The holidays are a crazy time, obviously, and life can sometimes just happen, and all of us could use some extra cash sometimes. And Dave is the banking app that's leveling the financial playing field. When you download Dave, you could get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check, no late fees. It's part of Dave's Extra Cash account. Advance the money when you need with no interest, and then settle up later. Dave basically just helps you get cash when you need it, instead of having to wait for it to come through on a paycheck or something, which can definitely be tricky this time of year. So if that sounds like something that interests you, you can download Dave today at dave.com/hoops. That's dave.com/hoops. You could get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less when you download Dave, no credit check, no late fees. Download the Dave app now or go to dave.com/hoops. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Eligibility criteria and instant transfer fees apply. Banking services provided by Evolve, member FDIC. And again, a big thank you to Dave for supporting the channel. Okay, so first things first, these are a collection of things that I have noticed myself and have also seen mentioned that I thought were really cool and would be cool to compile into a video like this. But I also wanted to give a shout out to these lovely people who brought some of these secrets and facts to my attention. These people are all super cool, and you should definitely be following them on all of their social channels if you haven't already, especially if you enjoy stuff like this. Also, this video will feature spoilers for the Indigo Disk, so consider yourself warned. Let's go ahead and get into the secrets though, starting with one about my boy himself, Cyndaquil. Cyndaquil was added into Scarlet and Violet in the Indigo Disk, and in its Pokédex art, a Skarmory can also be seen hovering in the air behind it. This is possibly a reference to the anime where Ash's Cyndaquil takes on a Skarmory in the episode Hot Matches and ends up in a very similar looking scenario. There are also a ton of Unova secrets and references, as you might expect, with Blueberry Academy literally being located in Unova. And one of them is that you can actually trade for a shiny Blitzel. This is done through the trading mechanic with the special coaches that you can invite to Blueberry Academy. Once you make a trade with every coach, with the exception of Nemona, Arven, and Penny, you'll actually unlock a secret battle with Serrano, and upon defeating him, he will offer you a trade for a shiny Blitzel. Another amazing Unova reference occurs in the canyon biome of the terrarium, where if you look at the map, you can find an area that is an exact replica of the nature preserve from Pokemon Black and White 2. It even replicates the shiny Haxorus that is found here in Black and White 2 with a Terapagos, making for an extremely awesome Easter egg. I did also want to provide my 2 cents here on something really quick though, as many people have suggested that this could be the actual nature preserve and not just a reference to it, since the nature preserve is located somewhere outside of the main Unova map. However, that is pretty definitively not the case due to the fact that Skyla flies her literal airplane onto the nature preserve itself, which she absolutely would not be able to do in the terrarium considering it sits under the ocean. And it's even mentioned at the beginning of the DLC that you needed to take a submarine to even get to Blueberry Academy. So this is pretty decisively just a reference as far as I'm concerned, but a pretty amazing one nevertheless. There are also cool Easter eggs in the other biomes too, like for example, a part of the theme of the coastal biome features the theme of Driftvale City. This, in turn, is a reference to the fact that this is Lacey's biome, who is confirmed to be the daughter of Clay, the Driftvale City gym leader. The Savannah biome also has some neat secrets to share too, as it is essentially one big reference to the Kanto Safari Zone, as many of the Pokemon you can find there, especially in the starting area at the entrance to the terrarium, are ones that you can find in the Safari Zone as well. There's also a music Easter egg in the Savannah biome as well, as the Savannah biome theme contains bits of some of the Unova route themes, including Unova routes 2, 4, and 6. It's not just Unova-related secrets that are here though, even though a lot of them are, so let's go ahead and switch gears for a second. If you happen to use Ogerpon in your battle with Carmine in the terrarium, you'll get an extra bit of bonus text where she'll actually recognize Ogerpon, which is a pretty nice touch. Additionally, the same also happens with Kieran as well, although he isn't quite as happy to see you using Ogerpon as Carmine was. Kieran is obviously a super central character in this DLC, so you can probably imagine that there are more than just a couple of things going on with him. Well, one cool little detail that happens with Kieran is during an exchange that he's having with Drayton, where their dialogue directly references the mysterious Peach Pokemon that was teased in the teal mask, and is going to feature in the just-announced epilogue that's coming to the games in January. Kieran accuses Drayton of trying to play Puppet Master, which we know the Peach Pokemon can do, and in response, Drayton says that's just Peachy, which is a very nice and sly reference. Let's get back to the Unova secrets though, and this time we're looking at Meloetta. Meloetta is actually catchable in this DLC without any kind of special distribution, which is another one of the amazing things about this DLC, and the method of obtaining it is super cool as well. In the coastal biome, there is an area east of the coastal classroom that features some leaves blowing around in the air in a circular pattern. If you use the left control stick to spin your character around in the center of these blowing leaves for at least 10 seconds, and then pull out your camera and turn on the sepia filter, you will begin to hear Meloetta singing its relic song, and you will then be able to approach it and battle it. This sounds exactly like the kind of thing that some kid on the playground would just make up back in the day, except it's real this time, and that is pretty amazing. Another cool Pokemon fact has to do with alchemy, and the fact that all the alchemy that are used by trainers within the terrarium are alchemy that feature the Berry Suite, which is a blueberry, which is a reference to the Blueberry Academy itself, and it's a pretty awesome reference at that. Meanwhile, one of the new Pokemon introduced in this DLC is Diplin's evolution, Hydrapple, and while many thought it was odd that one of Applin's branched evolutions would get another evolution that the others didn't have, it's pretty fitting for this apple-themed Pokemon as a part of this DLC, as it is yet another Unova reference. Unova is of course based on the New York metropolitan area, which is commonly known as the Big Apple. You could even argue that this is why Dipplin got a second evolution specifically when Flapple and Appleton don't have one, as it now makes Hydrapple the Big Apple amongst its family of Pokemon. The other new evolution in this DLC, Archaludon, is also a Unova reference as well, because it is bridge-themed, with Unova of course having many bridges to its name. What's also interesting about Archaludon though is that its base stat total is 600, meaning that it is now the only Pokemon who isn't a legendary, mythical, mega evolution, or pseudo-legendary Pokemon to have a 600 base stat total. Just like in my previous video on secrets you might not know about the teal mask, I also wanted to talk about shinies here as well, as there are of course multiple legendary and paradox Pokemon that were introduced in this DLC, including Terapagos and the Paradox Beasts and Swords of Justice, that seem at this time to be shiny locked, meaning that you cannot see their shiny forms in the game whatsoever, even though they do in fact exist. So there is a good chance that a lot of people haven't seen these shiny forms yet. So here is what they look like for those who haven't seen them before. Speaking of Terapagos, despite it being revealed and introduced in the Indigo Disk DLC, it was actually visible in the main Scarlet and Violet games this whole time, unbeknownst to all of us, as it could actually be seen in its slumbering crystal form on one of the screens in Sada and Turo's lab that sits on Poco Path. Let's do a couple more music references now, because Game Freak really went all in on the Unova connections in the DLC. This one is pretty prevalent, but the trainer battle theme at Blueberry Academy is actually a remix of the trainer battle theme from Pokemon Black and White. The same also goes for the Wild Battle theme as well. One thing that's really neat that you could very easily miss if you don't pay attention to the map too much is the fact that the hometowns of all of the BB League's Elite Four were confirmed via their quest descriptions, and of course they all hail from Unova. Lacey is from Nimbasa City, Crispin is from Burbank City, Amaris is from Castelia City, and Drayton, who is also confirmed to be Drayton's grandson, is from Opelucid City. One that many have seen already, admittedly, but I totally missed during my initial playthrough, so I don't know, I figured maybe someone else missed it too, is that of Chargestone Cavern, a cave system that can be accessed via the canyon and polar biomes that is a clear reference to Chargestone Cave from the Unova region, and not only in name, but also in appearance, as it also contains electrically charged stones, Galvantula webs, and of course, Galvantula and Joltik themselves. Once you beat the Indigo Disk, you will also gain the ability to fly on Koraidon and Miraidon, and this flight can be used to get access to some secret items at the very top of the terrarium, atop of its core. Game Freak definitely accounted for fans who would inevitably try to reach this height once they gained the ability to fly, as at the top of the core, you can find a golden bottle cap, some stellar Terra shards, and an ability patch, which are all extremely useful items. And those were some crazy secrets that you may have not known about from the Indigo Disk. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to leave a like, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe if you haven't already for more content. I'll be back very soon with another new video, and until then, as always, thank you so much for watching this one, I really appreciate it, and I will smell you guys later.